What's up, people? Been a while. Thought I'd show you my bitch. Been with her for a long time. I bought her in '86. She was in '84. She had 2 years on her. Some yup yonder. He put like, I don't know, 2,000 miles on her. He goes, I went for a ride once to Connecticut. He never really rode her though. There weren't a fucking nut or screw ever touching the bike. Basically factory perfect. And it had a couple thousand miles on it. Man. Back then I was looking at new bikes, looking at different things. And I fell in love with her. I remember I came back with $6,000. I had the cash. And I went back to this guy's house with the money. He weren't there. And I'm waiting. He ain't around. I waited hours, man. Motherfucker finally came home. He goes, He goes, I didn't think one of you Harley guys would have had the fucking money to buy this bike. That's what the guy said to me. Meanwhile, sitting there with $6,000 cash in my hand, which nowadays ain't nothing for a fucking Harley like this. And I go, no, I'm buying the fucking bike. He goes, well, I got to go to the bank because he had a loan on it. Because he had a loan on everything. He had toys all over the place. He had quads. He had four-wheel drive. He had a couple of pickup trucks. He had a bunch of shit. Yeah, go for him, man. He had money to play with. I wanted the bike. So I got it. Had her ever since. Oh. She's been in a lot of shapes, a lot of styles. I mean, some stuff stock. But she's been upside down. She's been total a couple times. But she's never been radically changed. I mean, it's still got the same stock length front end. Same style, gas tanks. But like right now on the gas tanks, I have a leather divider I made real quick out of something, and that's what's dividing the tanks. I mean, it's homemade, but I think it looks good. She runs an S&S. Stock cams though. Still got she got a kicker with a 4-speed. Shotgun exhaust from Cycle Shack. Cost me $49 long time ago. The struts on the back fender are all on this. Those are expensive. Well, I mean, relatively expensive compared to some stuff I bought. But I was working in a bike shop at the time, so I got them at cost. Laced back wheel. It's the second one. I sent the original wheel. The Harley wheel loosened, what the hell. I found one with low miles on it and threw it on there. And it's been holding up ever since. All in this cat's eye tail light with all kinds of reinforcements on it, because if you just mount it the way Holland says to, it'll crack. On a bike that's got a solid mount motor, at least. Old school. That was a seat I found at a guy who used to deal with Freddie. He had all kinds of chopper shit, and That's really just that was a chopper seat from, they had the metal Mustang. It was a hardtail seat, and because it has a metal base plate, I could bend it and shape it to fit the Softail setup, because actually, it was not bad. But so if you bought something for a hardtail that wasn't a metal base plate, it would never fit a Softail. And this Softail wasn't stock anyway, because that back fender there, that's the fender I cut and shaped myself from some guy in California. It was a monster fucking fender. Basically what it was a flat fender, a 7-inch wide flat fender with two big sides welded to it. I cut it and shaped it to how I want it to be. And I know a couple years after that, Harley came out with a model with a fucking back fender that was similar to this. But I did it first. You know what I did though? You used to take an FL front fender and you would make this style back fender out of it. But I wanted something wider, because I run a 140 sometimes, a 150. And that's why I use this other fender, because an FL fender you have to split it and then weld it, expand it. But that's the original style came from, running a flipped around front FL fender from the front of the bike of an FL. Gave it that style. And then I made mine, and then Harley came out with I forget what the fuck model it was, but that used that same kind of style. Single fire ignition. I have weights. No computer on this bike. The computer's gone. Weights is how you control the advance. I use the horn cover to put the switches in that used to be on the handlebars. They are the original switches from the handlebars. And I cut out with a wheel those cuts for the switches, and actually the ignition switch. The ignition switch is from a Super Glide that my friend had. That's the original Harley switch, which is the best, because the Chinese stuff, the aftermarket from Ted and all this, it doesn't hold up. The front controls are PM Performance Machine. They're made for shovel heads, but with a few modifications, they fit easily onto the soft top, because basically the soft top was using a shovel head frame at the time. It's an 84, which was just a chopped. It was basically a shovel head frame, and they chopped it. And they put those flat struts there, welded to the frame, to make it the Softail frame. That's all they did. And then they made the swing arm, triangle swing arm, and bolted off where that chrome gap is. That's where the pivot point is. Original front forks. The tree is not original because from accidents, but those are original sliders. I had somebody lace. That's the original 21-inch hub. And I had a guy in Jersey who, Richie Manx, knows his shit, and he did it himself. He sat on the floor and he laced that fucking 16 right out that 21-inch hub like it was nothing. Try to find guys like that nowadays. The headlight, that's still the all-in-S headlight, which I had reinforced 20 times already. And it's got some other brackets and stuff that I put on there. Make it fit. I have some doodads on there, That Loctite, Lockhart fucking oil cooler I got at a Honda shop fucking 30, 40 years ago, man. In the parts bin. It was like in the freebie bin for like $2. And it's even chrome. It's even funnier. That kicker I had to make, because if you buy that kicker with that pedal, which I like that pedal, because of the cheap ass Chinese like shaft going through it. So what I did is I took the Harley kicker, took everything off and cut it off. I threaded the end so I could put that acorn nut on it, and I fit the Chinese pedal which is cool looking, a skeleton pedal, I think it's called, over the shaft. And I threaded it and then put the acorn nut on the end of it to hold it on there. And the acorn nut, I mean, and she's been holding ever since. Now I use it. I mean, I've had to actually rebuild. I had to replace the kicker cover because I wore the original out. That's why she still has the stock electric starter, because I always used the kicker, man, because she was always tuned up right. So a couple of kicks, she would fire right up. You know, so I wore out the original, and that I have it. The cover on there now is this, a heavy duty CCI cover. They made them for a couple of years. Now they're hard to find, but man, it's a hell of a lot beefier than what Harley had, and the parts that failed on the original kick cover, I guarantee you will not fail on that cover. And hey, that's my bitch, and I love her, and we've been together for a long time. Peace, people. Talk to you soon. Later.